Shalom. Call Holo Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rahahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barad DeBall, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom, especially to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. One thing I just wanted to go into, just a few scriptures on Grudge. With our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel, we have dealing in the curses. There are things that we have to really work on in our spirit to fight. And how do we fight? How do we cleanse ourselves of ways from the previous life? In Psalms 119 verse 9, it says, "Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? This is by taking heed thereto according to thy word." And so Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has put us in a place because of our disobedience to where the curses are live and active. We see it out in the world by the masses because of the current ruler that we have ruling over us. He has taught us things like to grudge. All right. Now you see this in front of you, but then also amongst your family, those that are within your within your house, be wife, husband, children. Then you have your mother-in-law, and because of this grudging amongst ourselves, it does spark other things that could come about. And Lord willing, I'll go through it. But this is grudge. It says to be unwilling to give or admit, give or allow reluctantly, resentful. All right. So now you're giving and you're doing things resentfully. It says to grudge, animosity. All right. You have, let's see what this word is. Enemies. Let's see how it says it. Okay. It won't allow. All right. It says to use prejudice or often, spiteful. All right. Malevolent, ill will. All right. So the intentions, again, I mentioned Esau, Edom, because these are the things in which when you look at Proverbs chapter 6, so he says, these 6 things are an abomination to the Lord. Yea, 7 are, or 6 things doeth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are abomination unto the Lord. And he says a proud look, a lying tongue. But the one thing, when you go down toward the bottom, he says, and he that soweth discord among brethren. And so again, how does he do that? He does it through his media. He's setting up forth propaganda. And this is also part of when we mentioned about the curses. Now I'm in a bad area, so I may not be able to pull up a lot of the scriptures, but I'm gonna quote a few. Whereas in Deuteronomy chapter 28, he says, thy eye shall be evil toward the wife of thy bosom. Thy wife's eye should be evil toward her husband. Men, brethren's eye evil should be evil toward each other. And as a part of it, it'd be the smallest things, because check this out. In Christianity, right, they push this whole vibe of, and this is a spiritual thought, they push this whole vibe through Christianity and through America, like we should all love, but Yahweh Shai says, if you love me, keep my commandments, right? But then they tell you shouldn't, you don't have to keep the commandments. All right. Then you also have as far as the keeping, when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai say keep the commandments, but then you have this thing where they say you should forgive. Everybody should forgive, but yet they speak these things outwardly, but inwardly they don't hold true to the very things in which they do. And for some reason, it's easier for the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man and woman to forgive the so-called white man for all the things and atrocities that he's done, and he comes and says, let bygones be bygones. But at the same time, he still is lying, cheating, stealing, killing, and destroying. John chapter 10, verse 10, it says, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. Yahweh Shai cometh to bring life and to give it more abundantly. However, the very ones, when you look at 1 Timothy chapter 3, it says, perilous times shall come. And in these perilous times, you find that men are being lovers of themselves, boasters, heady, high-minded. They're not, as we looked up this grudging, they're not taking accountability or the unwilling to give or admit. All right. And then they would be lovers of pleasure, lover than the Most High. So then, of course, like Yahweh Shai said, he said, if they hated you, know that they hated me first. People in the world don't like to hear the truth. So when the truth is being spoken, it cuts. Hebrews, it says the word of the Lord is sharp and quick. Or the word of the Lord is quick and sharp, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing asunder through the bones and marrows, going straight to the spirit, roughly paraphrasing. And so when we speak this truth, people get angry, people get mad. And if we are representations of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, just in our walk alone grieves the enemy. All right. Because our way is of another fashion. And if through the spirit, if we are the men of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, then of course those that we live amongst, our family, our friends, wives, cousins, if they're not keeping the will of the Heavenly Father, they're going to look and be evil towards you. So let me get this real quick. This is the book of Luke, chapter 19, verse 1. It says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, ye shall be holy, set apart, for I, the Lord Yahweh, your power, am holy. Ye shall, it says, ye shall fear every man his mother. Well, actually, I just wanted to show you that he was speaking to the children of Israel. So we're going to jump down to verses, let's jump to verse 16. Oh, well, let's read 15, because a lot of these are the things that happen. All right. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Okay. So a lot of times, our people, when it comes down to judging matters, they tend to show favor. Like, again, they'll show more favor to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, knowing his track record. But the people that have been among them their whole lives, and knowing that, let's say, for example, you have a prophet that lives among you, and that he's working and acting in a way of keeping the ways of the Heavenly Father, as far as like not eating a certain way and things like that, our people will actually look down upon that person, all right, or that man, or an elect member, okay, doing their best to strive to do the ways of the Heavenly Father. But he says, thou shalt do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, and nor honor the person of the mighty. See, they'll listen to those that are rich in this world, those who actually have money. But the prophets, the mouthpiece of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, these are the ones that have the true riches, this wisdom. All right, the heirs of the kingdom. James, speaks of it. And so our people have a respect of persons. When you have the very person within your household telling you right and being truthful in the matter, many people don't want to listen, but yet they're quick to forgive and they're quick to listen to those outside of the household. It's just an example, but in due time, the people will know who the Lord's chosen and who his men really are. And that's what we're looking forward to when the Lord reveals these things upon the masses of the world. This is how we know that pride will be made low, and everybody that was very prideful and done things will be put to shame. It says, but in righteousness shall ye judge thy neighbor. All right. So again, when it comes down to certain matters, all right, it doesn't matter if a person's poor or rich. If they committed adultery, for example, they would receive the judgment of committing adultery. But see, in this system, they teach you that you can buy your way out of things, right? And that in itself creates an issue of chaos. All right, because not everybody has a way to buy themselves out of things, and so of course, as a result of that, as you can see, they always are doing the bidding of the top elites. Again, not to go too far from the point, we're getting there. Verse 17 says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt not in any wise rebuke thy neighbor." Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So again, we can't hold our sword back from blood, as it says. When someone's doing something, of course, when it comes amongst your brothers, those are in this truth. We teach this truth, and we give it straight. Thus said the Lord, because the blood must be off of our hands. All right, and so we amongst our brothers and we see them going off, or I may be going off, a brother is there to correct you, right? And we must be able to take that correction and not feel a grudge against that brother, because that's what happens. All right, sometimes a brother may have an offense against you, may said something that offended you, and we have to be in the spirit of coming to that brother first, as Yahushua said, and tell that brother of his offense. And if a brother, and by bringing it to that brother, the brother just may at that time admit his fault or ask for forgiveness, it could be squashed there. But if not, then you bring it to another brother, 2 or 3 witnesses, or then you bring it to the elders of the congregation. So there's levels before you just hold this grudge and have resentment. Our goal is to kill it, so to speak, right at the door, before it manifests, before it festers, it becomes something greater than what it really is. And like they say, I forget the term, but the thought come to mind. It says making a molehill out of an ant hole or something like that, creating something, big out of a small situation. All right. I had this other thought, and let's see if I can get it. 7 times 7. See if this comes up for me in book of it's in let's see, Luke. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21. It says, then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 70 times 7? And Yahushua said unto him, I say not unto thee, I say not unto thee until 7 times 7, but until 70 times 7. Because again, the righteous man falleth 7 times, which is just meaning the 7 and the 70 is like a complete number of times, and get back up. So of course, brothers who are being corrected in their faults should be working to not do those sins again, not to offend their brother again. But brothers will also be in a place that would need to speak up, when they are being offended, so this thing can come out and it can be handled, so it doesn't manifest. Because when you look back in that Luke, they talked about being a talebearer, right? Because what happens is people in the world, instead of going directly to their brother one-on-one, they'll actually get offended, and then they'll go start telling other people about the offense, going around telling everybody but the very person. So now the person's walking around and not knowing that he has offended this brother, but this brother now created alliances, because that's what happens amongst other people. So then when the brother finally find out that all these people have been spoken about, had talked about his situation, that he has no clue, that does nothing but stoke a fire in itself as well. It creates a whole nother thing now against these two people, which is also building resentment. All right. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting into the elect body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Raha Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening and learning to you, I say shalom.